Hello and welcome back to the U Up podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. How are you? Should we let people behind the curtain right away?
I mean, we might as well, just in case they notice an off energy. I was like, I think more sick than I've ever been in my entire life yesterday. I thought I was going to die. You know when you like, I'm like, this could be the end.
This is it.
I really don't know.
This is it. How would you consider yourself as a patient? Like,
you'd have to ask Mike.
Right. That's what I'm wondering. Like, because this is one of those like relationship things.
Yeah.
Where in sickness and in health, you know?
So I'll give you, this is, I was thinking about that actually as yesterday was happening.
Yeah.
Because Mike was in his office in the city. I was working from home yesterday around like 1. I'm like, my stomach really hurts. This is weird.
The floodgates are a rumbling.
Yeah. It was like starting to be a little weird. And then by like 3, I was getting like extreme chills.
Aye.
And I text him. I'm like, I can't get warm. I'm like under 4 layers of blankets. I don't know what's going on. And he's like, take a shower.
Oh no.
So
don't come with solutions. Right. The worst. Listen, that's what I would say. Get in the shower. And then you know, but sometimes you're being texted just for care.
Right.
This was a solution-based text.
He's definitely solution-based. I was not getting much oh no, like I wish I were there to hold you.
Would you rather that?
I don't know. At this point, I think I wouldn't have liked that because I was like so ill that I wasn't even thinking about that.
You need solutions.
Right. So he says to go in the shower. I go in the shower. I start throwing up in the shower.
In the shower?
In the shower.
Couldn't wait to get to the toilet.
No. And then like it was like awful. Like
that's
literally
like exorcist shit.
Yeah, it was like, that's what I'm saying. I thought I was like maybe dying. But now I'm thinking maybe it was like a stomach bug. So I get out of the shower, I call him, I'm like, you need to come home.
Pack it up.
Pack it up.
Pack it up. Your wife is sick. Get home now.
Basically. And like he was like, all right, I'm leaving. So he left, which I was like, honestly, I wasn't sure that he would do. He came back.
Sickness and in health.
And then, so he comes back, he gets home at like 4 or something, and I'm like, I can't move. Like, I'm like in bed. I'm really milking it.
But I'm good thing I left work.
So I'm like, I need you to call like one of your friends who's a doctor and just like ask if I should go to urgent care or if I should go to the ER because I don't want to go and like sit there and like if no one thinks it's necessary.
Does he have doctor friends?
He does.
See, this is when you realize how stupid your friend group is. When someone's like, call your friend the doctor, and you're like
who?
Does a chiropractor count?
I think a chiropractor does count. Maybe they all go to medical school.
I don't know about that one.
So he calls his friend. His friend is like, because I had like a procedure a couple weeks ago. They're like, oh, it could be infected. You should go to the doctor. And then I called like my like reproductive endocrinologist, and she was like, don't go to the ER. Like you're gonna like just have fluids. And so then we're sitting there, and I'm like, he's like, do you want to go to the ER? And I'm like, you decide. I don't.
Oh no. I'd be like, that would feel like a game show at that point. Should I go to the ER? And it's like, ruin the rest of your, like, because he might have to hear about this the rest of his life.
If he makes the wrong choice.
Right.
But I wound up having to hear about it for the rest of my life. So we decide to go.
You go.
We decide to go.
Okay.
We draw like, I'm like, I have him pull up the car, pick me up in the
Long
front of our
Island.
building. Yes.
I'm just imagining this big Long Island Guido. Welcome to Strong Island Medical College. You know.
That's exactly how it is. You know, everywhere there.
Yeah.
So I get in the back seat and I'm like lying on the back seat. I'm like fully into it.
Full dramatic mode.
We get in. He drives in the parking lot.
Yeah, we're going into the hospital.
No, I'm like, why don't you drop me off at the ER? Like, you're going to park. I don't know where the ER.
Behind the ambulance?
I'm getting out with you. I just told you I'm weak. So I'm like yelling at him for parking, for like going in and parking.
Right.
So we get out. It's like, we walk into the hospital. They're like, oh, you guys are in the wrong area. This isn't the ER. They're like, can you walk or do you need a wheelchair? And
Bring
I'm like,
over the wheelchair. Yeah.
And Mike's like, really? I'm like,
he said, really?
He's like, really? I'm like, but
getting to know you, getting to know all about you.
Oh.
Bring me the wheelchair. I don't think I can stand. A little stomach bug took me right out of commission.
Listen,
Yeah.
I really don't think you know you.
No, I don't
you
get it. You're right.
understand.
I don't. I'm
the
not.
pain.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting. But before we left, he took my temperature. It was 102.7.
Okay.
Which is pretty high. I think.
102.7. Yeah, not 98 degrees. The famous band.
The doctor, exactly. The doctor we called said to just like drink water and fluids because I'm like very dehydrated.
Right.
So I'm drinking the water, and then we get to the ER. We're about to like check in. Mm-hmm. They do like a pre-check-in where they like take your temperature and a bunch of stuff. And by this time I had a Tylenol right before we left. So I'm starting to feel a little better.
Oh no. You got to start faking.
So they're like,
Yeah.
So she takes my temperature. It's like 97.8.
Oh,
Mike's
no.
like, what?
Uh-oh.
What's going on? And then she goes,
What?
she goes, what would you say your pain level is on a scale of 1 to 10? And I'm like, I don't know, like 6. And Mike goes, 6? He goes, you're a 6? What are we doing here? And then so she's like, so
What
do you
are we
want to
doing
be?
here?
She's like, so you want to be seen by a doctor? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, oh, it's like about a 3-hour wait. And I'm like, all right, let's just leave.
3-hour wait.
3-hour wait. I was like, I'm going to get more sick sitting here in this ER.
Right,
I'd rather
you'll
just go home and sleep.
Wow.
So we didn't even get seen by someone. We left. And then the entire car ride home, I'm like, you know what? You didn't really seem that simple. I feel like you're like mad at me for going to the ER. Like, you're the one who said we should go.
Oh, no. This was your choice.
Yeah.
But
But-
I guess the answer, first of all, this is more in the wheelhouse of this show than anything we've ever talked about in the beginning of the
Really
show.
discovering things.
Right,
After
and-
6 years together.
6 years, you're still learning, still, and I will say, it is a lesson. Take a Tylenol, then we'll see. Is
Now
a
I
good
know.
answer.
Now I know.
Well,
Well,
that's
I
a good
didn't
answer to the ER question.
Right. I didn't want to take anything. I thought I was just going to throw it up or like, I don't know.
You did throw up in the shower. I mean, how's the shower? What are you going to
I don't know. I haven't been back in there.
since?
Well, I was gonna use because we both have our own bathroom, and his
Yeah.
bathroom has like a tub, so I was gonna like sit in his, and I think, and then I couldn't get I was like too weak to like get the door open to get into the thing, so I went back to mine. But I was also throwing up in his toilet, so he's like, I don't know why you felt the need to like throw up in your bathroom and then throw up in my
You
bathroom.
had to mark
like-
your whole territory. You gotta. I'm not. If I'm sick, we're all sick. I'm touching everything.
And then
I'm puking everywhere.
And then we're arguing over what it's from. I'm like, it was the oyster that we had on Sunday
What?
afternoon.
Single
He's
oyster.
like, I had an oyster. I had the same oysters. I'm like, you didn't eat the same individual oyster. And then we're like fighting about the oyster. And then I was like yelling at him because he couldn't read the labels on the drugs that he was going to give me. I'm like, it's the one that's the ibuprofen. That one means, and he was like, he thought that one was the Tylenol. I'm like, no, that's the Advil. She said, take the Tylenol. So we're just, and then I'm like, can you hold this? I'm like, I'm holding I'm like, can you hold this? I'm
Right.
trying to, I'm just like, very much nitpicking the level of care that he's giving.
Right. This is the real relationship.
Yes.
This is what we're all aspiring to.
And then when I said 6, you have no.
6. I mean, that would have really blown me through the roof. I mean, it is funny when they're like, what's your pain level? And it's like, and you're like, well, could I drink right now? Like you go from like, I could never even stand, I need a wheelchair, to I could, have a glass of wine.
Right.
Like,
I definitely was not there, but I said, I was a 9 before you
Okay.
came home.
and that's
When I called you, I
right.
was a 9.
And things have settled a little bit. We're down to a
Yes,
6. That's
we're down
good.
to-
We
yeah, I
want
was like-
progress. It's
I
not
was
like
like-
you want it getting worse.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was like, are you happy that you seem like a little annoyed that I'm doing better?
Well, I do think it is funny that when you go to the hospital, you want to need the hospital.
Right.
Like
I've
you
never
do-
been to the emergency room. Have you?
No, I mean, I will
Like,
die
I'm not a
before-
pussy.
Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm just one of those people that like, I understand what you're saying. It's like, I feel like I could die right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I would be like, okay, I'll close my eyes and hopefully I wake up in the morning better. Like that's always my viewpoint on it. Like I haven't been
Right.
feeling well either, not to
Take my thunder.
take away your thunder. But I've just been doing a lot of like walking. That's been
Okay.
my ER.
And that's helped.
I'm like sweating. It's giving me a nice little schwitz and drinking water and coffee.
Sweating
and
it out.
trying to sweat it out. That was like my thing. I haven't been able to work out. things are tough here at the U Up, in the U Up Nation.
We did just do 3 shows in a row, and I mean, I know you're used to that.
No,
kinda
not
thing,
like this.
but-
I'm not used to this. When you go from 3 cities, from city to city to city, it's hard. It is, and getting up and flying 3 days in a row, or taking the train and dealing with all that stuff, it takes a toll on your body.
It does.
It's tough. So I commend you. It's hard, and I thank you for coming in today. Like.
Of course. I mean, this is, I'm a professional.
You're a
Nothing
professional.
else.
Listen,
I'll be here.
Michael Jordan played every game because he didn't know who was in that crowd that night, who hadn't seen him before.
Exactly.
You're here because you don't know who needs this today.
I don't know who's listening.
Someone needs this. Someone needs the You Up podcast today, and we're going to make sure it's taped and ready to go.
Exactly. And how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm a little achy just from the sickness, but nothing like yours. No, I don't want to. You did text me here like, I don't know, maybe today's not the day, and I'm like, I'm also not. I felt bad that I was like, I'm also.
I have that
a little
sometimes.
under the weather.
Someone it's like whoever got there first gets
Right.
the
Right. Right, gets the sickness.
Right.
Yeah, I do want to thank people who came to our shows. The shows were great.
They were great.
Boston, awesome. New York, fun. Little awk.
You guys were not. You didn't seem like they were that impressed.
New York was a little laid back in their seats. Perform for me, jesters.
Yeah.
A little that, but no, we had fun. I mean, full house, fun, good show.
Great time.
And then DC. Listen, we give credit. We're an honesty podcast. Some people, they can't listen to this podcast because we're too honest for them. It hurts their soul. You guys are the listeners. You want honesty. DC brought it.
DC was amazing.
Unreal. Great
Way to
guest.
end the show.
Great way to end the whole
The
tour.
tour,
Yeah.
rather.
And so thank you to everyone who came, brought friends. If you're new here because you were a friend that was brought, welcome to the show. We talk about modern dating in an honest way, the male-female perspective. Get involved. Share it. Go back and listen to the old podcast. Go listen to the old episodes. I have a dating-related conundrum that I
let's
kind of
hear
want to
it.
bring up. I heard a story about me.
Oh,
I'm not sure if I should bring this up.
why not? This is our intimate You Up community. Let's hear
Right.
it.
So,
You're not going to name names.
I'm definitely not gonna name names. My name was named.
Okay, well then you could name names that would be deserved.
I was told someone here at Betches HQ, one of our teammates, team members. She said she was at a fitness class, and the class before her, she could hear the instructor, and the instructor was like, you know how the instructor, like when they
speak into the mic.
they speak in the mic to the whole 40 people, 50 people in the class, and they are saying, this is the story I was told. So I'm getting, this is a little bit of telephone, so I'm telling it as I was told. That they're like on the loudspeaker being like, I'm going to this show tonight. Like, you know how like sometimes the instructors will get into their like personal life in between directing?
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. I've
heard it.
I've heard it, but I've never heard it like this.
Usually not like, I haven't heard it like the way that you're about to say.
I've heard, who's going out tonight? This
Right.
is different.
I'm so excited for this concert I'm going to.
Right.
Has anyone heard Beyonce's new album?
And
Right.
that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently, this instructor was like, I'm going to this live podcast tonight, and it's hosted by this comedian who unmatched me on Raya. And they were telling the whole class that the reason I unmatched them was because I was too intimidated because they were a fitness instructor and I have issues with my body.
Okay.
This was announced to the class.
That's fucked up.
And
Did you ever say anything to this instructor?
so
Like,
now
on the-
I'm like
like,
racing through when I'm
in
being
the
told this story.
Conversation?
When I'm getting told this story, Raya, you can't screenshot. I don't screenshot. I'm trying to remember this conversation, and I do remember it. And we talked for a little bit, and then it kind of like stopped talking, as you do on a dating app. And then I remember there was a message from them being like, later on to re-up the conversation that was like, did I just see you charging down West 4th Street?
That's rude.
And I didn't like the imagery. I didn't like
Charging
that.
is not a flattering term.
No.
Yeah.
Did I just see you stampering down? Yeah, I let me say,
Bulldozing down the street.
if
yeah.
I'm to admit sensitivity, yeah, I saw that message and I was like, I'm turned off.
And that's why you unmatched.
So I unmatched.
Okay.
And
Did you say anything about? Did you guys discuss anything about body or fitness or
no.
anything like that?
But
Okay.
then when the person here at Betches told me the story, and I remembered who it was. I remembered, on Raya, you can see their Instagram. So I had looked this person up. So I knew who it was. They were a follower who had messaged me for advice in the past. So
and then you would match with them.
And then I had matched with them later on, years later. Okay. So they do listen to the podcast. I am open about having body things here. Like, right. I don't think I would ever, the idea that I would unmatch someone because I'm intimidated in any way is just not how I've ever operated, and is just, beyond insulting, it's also just not what happened.
Well, here's the thing. I would look at this more about her insecurity, because she saw you unmatched her and then was like,
I did. Sorry to interrupt, because I did unmatch to send a message. I don't usually unmatch. I was like, fuck this. Fuck it. I'm turned off. Right. I'm unmatching. So
it's like
I
when
will
you block
say that.
Someone.
What's that?
It's like when you block someone.
Right. I'm looking to let someone know that they've been be gone.
I'm over this.
Yeah.
Sure.
But okay, but go on. I'm sorry. So to admit fault in this, because I don't want to be like.
No one even cares about fault. You don't. We've talked about this all the time. You don't know anything on a dating app.
I agree.
Right.
Right.
So you unmatch. Sorry. I think when you unmatch, she was like, why would he unmatch? Like, she said this. This is a story she told herself to make her feel better. Right. It has nothing to do with you. And
a group of 50 people in a workout.
Well, she didn't say your name, but I guess it could be figured out who it was. Right.
Who was? Yeah. Right. I listen. There's somewhere in between. And saying my name and not saying my name, it is in the middle of that spectrum.
And the fact that she said it in front of this whole class means not only did she need to convince herself, but she needed to convince everyone else around her.
Yes, queen. Fuck him. Fuck that chubby loser. If he can't handle you at your fit, then he can't handle you anytime. Yeah, she was looking for that.
I mean, we talked about this before. It's like when I talked about falling off the chair at the wedding. Like, I had to bring it up to everyone so that like I could make myself feel better about it. Like, she probably was thinking about it all day and was like he must be just insecure. It must be just because he's like, I'm a fitness instructor. And then she felt the need to tell everyone to then make herself again feel even better about it.
Right. I do think this is I do think this is somewhat of a result of like the TikTok-ification of dating. This is a little bit of a result because all you see is these story time, and they all find a group of people who will agree with them. They will find those people that go, yeah, fuck him. Right. And so now you think any story's okay, because this person from Betches who told me the story, she said after the class, she goes up to the instructor and is like, were you talking about Jared Freed? And they were like, they said they were like,
and what'd she say?
She goes, yeah. And she goes, and the person here was like, I work at Betches.
And I'm going to tell.
Story found its way.
Well, now we've made it sure that she can't go back to that class anymore.
Well, she's the instructor.
No, I mean, the person from Betches is going to have to find a new instructor.
You're going to have to get her a pass somewhere else. A class pass. Yeah, I don't know. She told me the story and I felt really badly. I won't lie. Like, it is, I didn't. You don't want anyone to like.
I mean, that's like a mean thing to say.
Other than being mean, you don't want to. I know I air things out on this podcast.
And you don't want to use against you.
Right. And I like to think that I'm doing it in a classy way, as classy as I can.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think this says much more about her than it does about you.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, in my mind, I don't hear about someone talk. If someone is talking about someone else in the dating world where it could be debatable of who's the dick, I'm always going to say the person talking about it is kind of like, I would be like, I'm kind of turned off by that move.
Big mistake on her part.
Big mistake.
Didn't think there
huge.
Good for the Betches employee for telling her. I'm sure she felt weird after that.
A little weird. She sat with it. We all went out to a bar. We went to WXOU, one of my favorite bars, after the New York show. We stayed out way too long. That might be why. That's why I didn't say I was sick right away. I was like, maybe I'm achy from the 30 vodka sodas I had over the weekend.
Is it right? Am I dehydrated from the alcohol or from the oyster? It's tough to say. Right.
I didn't have one oyster split.
I had my own individual oyster.
How many oysters did you get?
I had 2 oysters. We went to brunch with his friends that you met in DC.
4 people.
3 of us had oysters. We got 6 oysters.
Got it.
So 2 each.
Do you?
But I could have had the bad one. It's not like you share individual oysters.
I know. I always feel like oysters get this blame that we always just look to the oyster.
I mean, I feel like it's like raw, like liquidy.
Right. I mean, it doesn't look. It's like if someone was like, "Who farted?" and then someone pointed at me. I'd be like, "Okay, easy fucking choice. Like I'm the one."
I won't blame the oysters.
I'm the one, the slob. Yeah, easy to blame me, not the fucking person in a gown.
Right.
You know, we always blame oyster. I'm the oyster.
So you're justice for oysters.
Justice for oysters. I don't know. I'm just saying, like when you travel, drink, we were, what we do is very physical. You know, the shows, hour and a half on stage. No one's doing that shit. We are putting on a fucking show, and that's why I want to thank you all for coming.
You're welcome. In sickness and in health. This is just like
This is just like your marriage to Mike.
I just kept repeating that to him yesterday. In sickness and in health. He's like, all right, shut up. Like,
enough.
I'm taking you.
Enough. What are you doing on your phone? I'm downloading Tinder.
And then there's this thing when you're sick where you kind of feel like you need to toe the line between like proving to the person that you're sick enough, but also like that you're also going to be okay.
You have to play the part.
Right. You're not really sure how far to go.
Right. You got to walk into the room with the blanket over your shoulder. And then you sit down and you go, what are we going to watch? And you like give a little smile. It's a little flirty.
Mike, did you get the Gatorade?
Right. You can't just talk normal. You can't be like, hey, Mike, you get the Gatorade? Yeah.
Well, when he left the ER, I got in the front seat.
Okay.
Lying in the back.
Full comeback. Speaking of full comebacks, I'm on the road. I'm doing stand-up. I got a message. If you're in Nashville, okay, this weekend, I'm there. Come to the shows. I got a very anxious email.
From who?
From the Nashville people being like, is anyone going to come?
Oh.
And I was like, maybe not. It could just be me.
Do people in Nashville, like, are they around on the weekends?
I don't know. Summertime is always one of those things. You're like, I'm not sure if this is like a, shore city.
Right.
Well, Philly, city clears out. They're all at Avalon, Sea Isle. Everyone's going somewhere. I don't know if Nashville is everyone at the crick. I don't know. Is everyone on a tire swing? I don't know what's going on. Is it a Luke Bryan song?
Where would they even go?
My show.
Right. Well, if you're there for a bachelorette, what a fun bachelorette activity.
Add it, a little tentpole event. Add it into the show. Add it to your weekend. But bring in the crew. I'm going to be in Nashville. Then I'm in Stamford, Connecticut. Stanford's going to be a busy weekend, I think. And I'll have some college friends there and stuff. So they're not coming on. I don't know why that matters to you. Raleigh, Lexington, Charlotte.
Okay.
And before we get started, we have a new subscription model. If you're on Apple, you're good. If you're a You Up With Benefits subscriber, Apple, you're all set.
Don't touch anything.
If you don't touch a thing. If you were a Spotify You Up With Benefits subscriber, or if you just want to get involved, if you want to get that full year subscription at a lesser price, go to subscribe.betches.com. That's subscribe.betches.com. Subscribe.betches.com. We do the You Up With Benefits. Very personal episodes. I mean, the amount of messages I got about the last You Up With Benefits is like crazy.
Amazing.
Town. Yeah, it really feels nice. So people really seem to enjoy those episodes as a very nice little change up to what we do here. So go subscribe.betches.com. What are we talking about today?
All right. We are talking about not having any long-term relationship experience and how you should approach dating with that.
What I love about this email is the men are writing it. And
Yes.
listen, sometimes I'm tasked with being the male voice, the straight male voice, whatever. These emails should tell you what is on the mind of the men as well. This is good. I got my crew here, my boys.
Yes.
Weighing in.
And I'm excited to speak for all women everywhere.
Speak for them all. Whatever
Right.
Jordana says is what you all feel.
That's what we're all thinking.
That's right. All women.
No deviation.
No deviation.
We all have the same brain.
That's right.
All right, I'll read it. The men's emails are always shorter, too. So
Always shorter, to the point.
Okay. I just discovered your podcast on YouTube.
Very male.
Right.
Right.
For some reason, only men are watching podcasts on YouTube.
It's crazy. I something about looking at Joe Rogan's big old noggin is something that gets them going. I don't know what it is.
exhilarating.
They all watch it on YouTube. I don't get it.
This guy just discovered our podcast on YouTube and have been binge watching past episodes. I love the show, but it's raised an issue for me that I never really considered too much before. I'm a 37-year-old man who has never been in a serious long-term relationship. My longest relationship was only for 2 months, and that was back in college. But I'm just now starting to feel truly ready to seriously look for a girl I can share my life with and start a family with. The problem is, I've seen multiple past episodes where someone will email a question about dating a guy in their 30s who has never been in a long-term relationship, and the consensus answer from you and the guests is always, there must be something wrong with him. And that's a major red flag. I don't know if that's the case, but
I don't think we speak so black and white
I
on
agree,
so many
yeah.
things. There must be something wrong with them. I do think it's funny what they say is, and again, this is very male. The black and white terms, the less shades of gray, the less emotional stuff. He's like, and the fact that he goes, it's raised an issue that I've never really considered too much before. Not one woman that is written in here has never considered everything that they've written in about. Like, it's funny that he's just occurring to him.
not one single 37-year-old woman would be like, and it's just occurred to me that I haven't really been in a long-term relationship.
Right.
Like,
Oh,
that
you
would
know
happen.
what?
That would happen at 25.
Right. Even at 25, I don't even think that would. Like, I think women would be like, I've never been in a... Well, how many
we
times?
get emails from like 19-year-olds who are like,
I've never been in a relationship. I think I'm never going to get married. I'm just going to be the old woman in a shoe.
all right, we do. All right, so my question is, when past relationships inevitably come up on dates, how should I respond to that without completely turning the girl off before they even give me a chance? Should I just be brutally honest and hope for the best? Would it be bad to lie a little and say my longest past relationship was something like 8 months, which is short, but maybe not as red flaggy as 2 months? It's only 2 months. What do you think the best way to go about this is? Sincerely, a new fan.
Well, welcome to the U Up family. We're happy you found us. And if you want to go on YouTube, we have full episodes there.
Betches.co/YouTube.
Love it.
Check it out.
Here's what I'm going to start this by saying,
Okay.
don't lie.
Yes, that was my initial. It's like, what's a worse red flag than not having any long-term relationships is lying about having a long-term relationship.
Right?
Then
I do understand why that's his first move. He's like, I'll just say I was in one.
it's
Fuck
just
it,
kind of
it's
like
over.
it's just funny.
Problem
to me that,
solved.
It's funny to me that he's like, I'm really looking to settle down now. It's like with someone that you're pretending that you're telling you had a fake 8-month relationship to.
Yes. Because to him, it's like, if that gets you to get to know me, I think men and kind of what's behind the curtains of his email is like, well, once they get to know me. I'm great. You know, the ego of a man is what brings us down, but also what gets us women.
Right.
You know, like there is this, what you said just... Just like, once she's put at ease that I've been in relationships, she'll get to know the real me, and the real me is awesome, is really what he's saying.
Right. But to me, almost the fact that he even thought about doing this means he might not understand what goes into a committed relationship. Like, they are about honesty and like being yourself and like committing to someone, not like saying whatever they want to hear
Well,
that you think will be flattering.
It also shows how he's been dating, and I'm guilty of this as well. This idea of like, I need to win the date, get them to like me.
Right.
You know, and all, you know, considering his question is a good question because it's a realization that, oh shit, maybe I do have this thing that would turn off women. So it's funny that his question is to win, but we're kind of saying like, maybe you need to look at how you're dating. You know, in general, like if you're, because in his mind, he's like, well, how do I get around this thing? It's like, well, first, let's admit that never having been in a long-term relationship at 38 is a bit weird.
Yeah.
It's something that you're going to have to explain. Every date I've ever been on, I do pose the question, how did we end up here? And I think that's a fun question to go over.
What life experiences brought you here?
Right. What got you here? Where have you been? Where are you going? Tell me the road that got you here.
Right.
And that might be a little bit of a boring question. I think it's interesting. Like,
I think it's a more interesting way of phrasing I want to get to know you.
Right. Because I
Yeah.
do want to know, like, if I was on a date with a woman, she's like, I've never been in a relationship at 38. And I'd be like, well, what? Give me the example. Like,
Right.
what led? Because honestly, if you brought it up to me, like, maybe, did you want to?
Right. I
You
think
know?
there's I think instead of coming up with a lie for the state, I think you should think about what the reasons are. This guy should think about what the reasons are that he hasn't been in a long-term relationship. I think the biggest hesitation for any woman dating a 37-year-old man who's never been in a relationship is he just looking to hook up? Is he going to be ready for commitment? Nothing in his past really shows that he's like a relationship guy. How do I know that things are different? So I think that, like, if he has some sort of sense, like you said in his story, about what got him here, like, let's say I've been dating, not really seriously for a while, been focusing on my career, and like I'm at the point in my life where I feel like I'm really ready to meet someone.
Right. And I think, let me give you some questions. Because I've been doing a joke on stage a little bit and about how first dates are like making real stories cute. Okay. Like you have to have the energy. If you want to go on a first date, you have to have the energy to make a real story cute. So you have to tell the truth, but you got to find a way to make it a fun story.
Okay. Improv.
And a little improv, a little flour on the poop, so to speak. So it's like in this guy's scenario, if he looked at this woman on a first date and was like, I've never been in a relationship, longest is 2 months. I don't know. I guess these women suck. Like,
right.
That would be too real or too honest or too. The cute version is I've been dating and nothing ever really hit me over the head and made me want to commit. That's a little making a true story cute. And then
I'd say that for any woman.
It goes
even
all ways.
Some old ass 25-year-old.
Right. It's an old hag. Yeah, because then there's the element of like, you know what? I was out there just fucking. That's a little too real. Right. But if you say I was out there just kind of looking to be casual just all these years and having a good time, and I met a lot of great people, but I was always upfront, or as upfront as I could be. As it's hard in a relationship. Mm-hmm. Like you start talking about it in a cuter way. There's ways to say things, and I think it takes a lot of self-reflection, don't you think?
I agree, and I don't think it in itself would be a deal breaker. If I went out on a date with a guy who was older and never been in a relationship, I would be like a little wary, potentially, of just, can he be in a relationship? Does he know what it takes to be like? Because there are, it is about not doing whatever you want for as long as you want to do it. And I think the longer people have been single, sometimes or if they've never been in a long-term relationship, they don't really fully know what they're getting into sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's, and a big part of it is being okay with that.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. That's okay. You've never done it. Like I think being defensive about it is a bad move. A lot of guys get in this, well, no, you're going to judge me? Like now you look bad.
No, I agree.
Like I remember I was talking to someone and they were like, I live in Murray Hill. And I go, great. You probably have more space. And they're like, yeah, no. I'm sure you have an opinion on Murray Hill. I'm like, if it's a good apartment in New York, it's hard to find a good apartment. They're like, no.
Right.
I'm sure you got an issue with Murray. I know. I'm too old for that area. I'm like, no, I can understand why anyone would live anywhere in New York.
Right. I mean,
and they look bad to me,
It's just like anything else. I think it's like, if you come in with a little baggage in any way, and I would call being never having a serious relationship by the time you're 37 a slight amount of baggage. Right. It's not so much about what you're saying; it's about your approach to handling it. So if someone came in and said, "I have $300,000 in student debt," as someone in one of our shows asked,
the DC show,
right,
yeah,
it's not really so much about like what the issue is. It's more like, here's my plan.
Right.
Like my plan for never having been in a relationship. I'm now dating much more seriously. I'm like taking dating. I don't know what you would do to like show that. But
well, I think also maybe I wasn't asking the right questions because I wasn't actually I was looking for a different thing. Having some doubt about how you did things in the past.
It's refreshing.
It's a little refreshing. Like if I talk about my past relationships, I go, yeah, you know what? I make every fight into a joke. That probably wasn't a good way to communicate.
Right.
And I think owning that is part of my own growth. Yeah. But it's also like, yeah, and I'm a little bit of a people pleaser. I tell people what they like to hear, and sometimes I get too far along in something that wouldn't have gone anywhere just because I'm being nice.
Yeah,
And that's hard to say on a date, but it's the truth.
I think that's so much more refreshing than someone, again, being defensive or pretending they have it all figured out. Because here's the thing: if you're on the date, no, you haven't had it all figured out.
Right.
You're looking for something.
You're trying to figure it out with someone.
Yeah.
You know? I love the email just because, I mean, again, like I've been on dates with women who have never been in relationships, and I kind of get that. I get that too. I get how that could happen. Mm-hmm. You know, they're like, oh, I'm 30. I've never had a long-term relationship. And I go, yeah, you're in this hookup world. Maybe you were looking to hook up. Maybe you were just like, weren't really thinking about it. Now you're thinking about it. It's been since 28. It's hard to find the right person in just a minute. You know, the first person you go out with that you're thinking about relationships, you're not going to be in a relationship with.
I don't think it's a deal breaker. It's just more like something that you might want to wrap your own head around before talking to someone else about and not lie.
Well, that's the whole point of like making real stories cute. Like making a real story cute is having like being like, oh, here's where I did wrong. Here's kind of why I think this is happening. Right. Here's what's going on in my life in a way that's caring and, you know, presents it.
Even if you don't have it 100% fully figured out.
Let's do some awkward sex. You ready?
Let's do it.
UUP@Betches.com, UUP@Betches.com. We love an awkward sex story.
And guys, to send in your emails or awkward sex stories, UUP@Betches.com, UUP@Betches.com.
Okay, let me get into it. You ready?
I'm ready.
J&J got an awkward sex story for you. This was a college Tinder hookup a few months ago. Hotspot for awkward sexual encounters. For context, we are both guys. Look at college students writing in.
Yeah.
I matched with this cute guy on Tinder. We had a really good flirty back and forth that I was really into. I invited him over to, quote unquote, watch a movie in my dorm room. How romantic of me. We were brainstorming what movie to watch, and he suggested something Pixar.
Okay.
Not exactly
not a great start.
Boner maker. Yeah. I was a little thrown off by this because Pixar is not exactly a mood setter. He said his favorite movie was Ratatouille, and I was like, fuck it. He's hot. Let's watch Ratatouille.
It's a good movie.
Good movie. I do like that this guy is just like, okay, if that's what you want, you know, the closest, you know, point between two boners is a straight line. Like it's Ratatouille.
Right. We're going with the flow.
We'll go with the flow.
I appreciate it.
As you can imagine, an animated movie about rats did not set the tone for a hookup. After an hour and a half of awkwardly watching the movie, not the goal here, I decided to try and move things along and kiss him. He started repeatedly shoving his mouth into my lips, not puckering or anything. Ew, it was so bad, so I decided to kiss his neck for now. Then he decided to make a move. Is it just me or is it hot in here? Maybe I should take my shirt off. And he started taking off his shirt. I try to play along, cheesy start, but we can come back from this. And he says, and say, oh, it's definitely not just you, and take mine off too. Okay, here we go. Then he goes, man, my pants are too tight.
This kind of sounds like a guy who would put on Ratatouille.
Right. He seems new to the game.
Yeah. Like he doesn't really fully.
This is something he saw in
a lot
porno.
Of experience.
Yeah. It's like, my pants are too tight. I guess it's all this penis, you know? Maybe that was my thing. He says, maybe I should take them off. I was turned off by this worse than porn dialogue, but I tried to push through. Now he's in his underwear, looks down at himself and says, what's that? Maybe we should take a look. Oy, that's not a great, I mean, this guy's playing a part.
It's getting a little cringy.
A little cringe. Yeah. But again, they're in college. Right. I can understand.
I don't think it's that crazy.
Not crazy.
He probably hasn't had that many hookup experiences.
Right. And maybe he's recently come out, you know, like post-college.
He's having trouble kissing, it seems like, too.
At this point, my brain is too busy thinking about rats and how unsexy the commentary is to be fully into it. But I had a naked man in front of me and nothing on my schedule for the night. He finished about 15 seconds into a blowjob, which honestly was a relief. I'm never going to look at Ratatouille the same way. Sincerely, Ratatouille. Love the sign off.
Great sign off.
What did you think of this?
I think you were exactly right. It was like a new hookup.
A whole new world.
The Pixar,
not to get back into
everything.
Disney.
The coming after 15 seconds. This is someone who's like very much experimenting.
Think about how much of a win he thought this was. If he's new to the sexual world, if he's new to the gay world, I would assume this guy's like, I did it. I met a guy on Tinder. I kissed him. I got blown. I watched a
Best
great
day
movie.
ever.
Best day ever. Like
Yeah.
from his perspective,
Yeah.
this kind of this was good. And from this, it does present the point in hookups where it's like the levels, like where we are. Like if someone's like an experienced hookup person versus someone being inexperienced, you're kind of like, I got to do Econ 1.
Right. Well, I mean, that's why it's like nice because imagine losing your virginity to someone who's, I feel like that's what the kind of the beauty of like going into that with the same level of someone else. Because that person doesn't think you're doing it weirdly because they haven't really done it either.
Right. I mean, in the Jewish faith, this blowjob would be called a mitzvah.
Exactly.
He did a good
good
deed.
deed.
You taught someone new to the community. I mean, they will be better, but not for you.
Right.
You know, red flag or deal breaker, you're with someone who's inexperienced as a hookup, like, you know, in their 20s, whatever.
At a younger age.
Yeah, let's say you guys are okay. You're 25, they're 25, and they're just new to the hookup world. They've, you know, out of a long-term relationship. They've never really been on the dating apps. And then you get into this thing and they're like, oh, what's that? Is that a penis down there? Like, would you be able to teach someone?
It depends. I don't know I think there's a difference between being inexperienced and being like kind of cheesy.
Right.
I think this guy was being a little, I think that might give me, as they say, the ick
Right.
a bit. The Ratatouille thing was fine though.
Yeah, the movie's not a big deal. Listen, any movie
You'll hook
could
up
be
to any
on.
movie.
Yeah, Schindler's List doesn't matter. I'm hooking up. You know, like
You're down.
The movie is a background to the loving.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I
that
agree.
movie is a device.
Right. You're not really supposed to be watching the movie.
No, I mean, you know, if you get to the part in Ratatouille where he's flowing down the sewer and loses his family, you've gone too
You
far.
haven't made enough of a move.
Right. I've been in such a thing. Oh no. Did I lose it? Oh no, I wrote a poem.
You wrote another wow.
I've really been into these poems.
You've really been on a
I got it.
on a
Good
poetry
thing I sent
streak.
it to someone before I came.
Let's hear it.
Okay, 'cause I've been on a thing. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
These awkward sex stories are like inspiring me.
Let's hear it.
This was a gay one, so I was like, I have a new world to write about.
Okay. Maybe you should come out with a poetry book
Like a sexual poetry book?
or a regular.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay, this one's called, did you have a name for it?
Candace had Passionate for Pixar, Rodent Rendezvous.
I had a
What'd you
Pixar night, and then I had Ron DeSantis' worst nightmare.
Oh, amazing. That's that's the winner. There we go.
Okay, this is called Ron DeSantis' worst nightmare. Ratatouille, what a hooey. This movie won't get my peen to buoy. I came here for a romp, but now it's my feet I'd like to stomp. I'll suck him off. That'll get him to run. He'll explode in my mouth, and I'll say, that was fun. So I grab his dick with one hand. I grab his dick, and with one hand stroke, a miracle happens. His seal damn broke. I gargled that cum so happy I could moo. He'd finally leave, and I could watch SVU. He laid back, and I expected him to say that tomorrow would be a long day. But no. He asked if there was a Ratatouille too, and I screamed, no, no, no. You didn't even suck my dick too.
This is like, there's more.
Yeah,
Sorry, go
yeah.
on.
I went to the kitchen and moved pots and pans. Maybe he'd get the point and we'd say goodbye and shake hands. At one point I heard him say, a new season of Loki. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And I screamed, that's enough. Please leave. I must poo, poo, poo. Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
that's some erotica.
Right?
It's like Dr. Seuss erotica.
Yeah.
Love it.
Dr. Seuss erotica. Yeah, I was trying to think of
Seuss erotica. There we go.
Oh, yeah. That was
great.
Thank you.
So inspired these days.
I don't know what it is. I'm in a writing mood. I was doing all those Bachelor, previews that I do.
Yeah,
And
you're on a roll. Keep going.
I'm really rolling. And, the stand-up is coming pretty well lately. I don't know. Sometimes you just get in this zone.
I think you should write one about Nick Viall. I want to hear that poem. Anyone?
I'm afraid to even improv a poem for what I'll say.
Okay. You don't want your art to get too dark.
Right. I don't want... Let's do another email.
Let's do it. Hi, J&J. I've been dating this guy for 2 months. We're both 33 and have known each other through mutual friends. I've always thought so highly of him, but we were always dating other people. We really hit it off ever since our first date. I went home with him last weekend to meet his whole family. It was a nice weekend until I saw a different side of him I'd never seen before. We were driving back to his parents Friday night, and this car completely cut us off. If he didn't slam on the brakes, they may have hit us. He was pissed, sped up to get next to the car, rolled down my window to flick them off. Very aggressive, but I didn't say anything. Just a tad.
This is out of a movie.
Seriously.
To flick them off. Yeah, okay.
Well, she's getting to know him.
Getting to know you.
Then that car raced back up to us, rolled down their windows, and they all flicked us off. It's a flick off. Off. It's a flick off.
Oh, flick off.
Looked to be about 3 or 4 guys in there. This completely enraged him. He said, "Oh, fuck that," drove faster, reached into the back seat for his book bag, jerked out his gun that was in the holster, and put it on his lap.
Holster?
I said, "What the fuck are you doing?" He almost reached the car and started rolling down my window. Thank God the car turned off the next turn before we even reached them. I was so scared, thinking that what was this man about to do? I stayed calm and went silent because I was panicked and didn't want to make him mad by me freaking out at him. We got home and I went straight to the room I was staying in. The next day, I knew a conversation needed to happen, but I didn't know how to approach it. He brought it up first, saying, "So I kind of overreacted last night." Me. So we'll do. You want to read? We'll read it.
Okay, so I'll be him.
Okay. So he says, "So I kind of." You basically say, I kind of
overreacted last night.
Which part?
The way I got mad and pulled out my gun. I just want you to know I've taken a lot of gun safety classes, so I don't want you to be afraid to be around guns.
I cut him off and said, "I'm not afraid of being near a gun. I'm afraid of your anger and what would have happened if they didn't turn off. What was your plan?"
I don't really know what I would have done.
Exactly. That's what scares me.
I never want to put you in harm's way. I'm so sorry.
Etc. That was the basics of our conversations about it. We were with his family the majority of the time, so we haven't spoken about it again. What would you guys do? Give him a second chance? This is a huge red flag, but he did bring it up first and apologized, so he knows it's a problem. Am I just being a 33-year-old who is tired of being single, so I'm blinded by the apology?
This is a very interesting conundrum.
Yeah.
There are people that might hear this email and go, "Gun, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Fuck him, loser, whatever." I'm not going to sit here and do that. This guy obviously is from a different world than me. There are legal gun owners, but it's not about the gun.
To me, it's not about the gun at all.
Right. But he made it about the gun in a way to kind of shield himself from a more vulnerable conversation.
Right. I was thinking the exact same thing. I think that's really the issue, is that he just kept making it about the gun. And she's like, "No, this is about your extreme anger problem. And you happen to have this weapon.
Right.
That you were willing to use and put my life in danger.
You were going to shoot a gun over my lap at some random person in a car like it was Grand Theft Auto." Yeah, it's crazy.
With no regard for the safety, not only of yourself and these people, but also me.
Right. And I would say most gun owners, I would hope most gun owners would be like, this is not the intent. You're not just Yosemite Sam. You're not just out there, rootin' tootin'.
Using that as a thing for your road rage.
Right. I don't think this was the purpose of the gun.
Yeah.
So, and then when he says, I don't want you scared around my gun, it's like,
I don't want you scared about me.
Right.
I think that's really what he's not getting, that it's more about him being the scary one, not the gun being the scary thing.
And I kind of feel bad. I feel bad for her because it's like, there's two things at play. And we live in a world where everyone's disposable. You can get right back. The app is waiting for you. There's a whole bunch of people to swipe on. Mm-hmm. So most people go, the advice becomes, get the fuck out of there, go date, find someone new.
Right.
And then you never work through anything with anybody. I'm not saying the gun thing, this is an extreme example, but I'm guilty of fuck it.
Well, I think it's not, I think that if she's going to stay, she needs to have another conversation that's about his anger and the extreme, because the issue is the extreme lengths he will go when he feels insulted or cut off or disrespected.
Right. And was this a thing to show me that you're a man? Were you doing this as a show for me? Because I think she needs to let him know.
Is that better or worse? I don't even know.
I don't know. I don't know, but that's part of this is like when I hear someone cut me off, he's slamming the brakes. He has to go drive up to them and flick them off. You see that there's 3 men in the car. Then you take out a gun. Like, are you doing this to show that you're not a pussy?
Right.
You know, like, because if it's that, I think I'm more, she kind of has to let him know, like, I'm more turned on by someone who can fucking back off from this than
Right.
someone who enters into
Whose
this.
ego doesn't need this.
Right. Right. Because he might think, I don't know. There's a number of different psychological things that I'm sure a professional that if he would go to someone and talk to someone could help him unpack.
I would be just concerned with how quickly he went to get the gun.
Right.
It wasn't like, the last, I would imagine when most people have a gun, it's like, oh, this is like in case there is a actual emergency or I'm being robbed or someone is like physically attacking me. The fact that he was willing to take it out for this to me was a scary sign just because I would be afraid of him. It'd be less about like what he's doing. It's less about the gun or whatever. It's more about like how quick he is to anger and the extreme lengths he'll go to.
Yeah, and again, when he says I had no plan, so there was a chance you could have killed someone,
right? Like what if she did something to upset him?
Right. What's the fact that you didn't have a spelled out plan for this very dangerous thing that you should be taking seriously shows me that you're maybe not mature enough to have a gun. Yeah. I mean, I keep bringing it back to gun, and I agree with you. You're right. It's not about the gun. I guess it's like, I feel for her because she says I don't want to be the 33-year-old who just wants to be in a relationship. I don't want to be that person who's just blind to like any red flag, because what happens is at this, I always talk about having like a little Jewish mother in my head.
Okay.
And the Jewish mother's always like, you're just gonna, because if this guy becomes more of an issue, they're gonna go, you should have known. You see a guy with a gun, you don't do anything? That would be like the little Jewish mother in my head would go, you just date anyone with a gun? You didn't see it then? Right. You're not gonna break up with them? You're just gonna stay with anyone? What are you, a loser? My ego as the single person who's looking for love would go into those modes. So I understand why they're like, I don't want to be called out on, like, I can't even tell people this story because it will be used against me for why I should get away from them.
It's embarrassing.
If things go even worse than this.
Right.
But there are couples that get brought together because this started communication that they never would have had.
Yeah. But I just think it needs to be addressed like correctly.
Right. It wasn't addressed correctly. You're right.
And she needs to call him out for the fact that he keeps making it about the gun.
Right. Let's have a conversation about when you get angry, why do you do the things you do?
What the limits on your anger are.
Right. And why should I trust? I need to trust that we can have an argument where it doesn't just move to extremes.
Yeah, because that would be my big fear. Like if he's so quick to pull that out, then when he gets mad at me and they're only 2 months in, they probably haven't had a big fight yet.
Right.
I would be like a little nervous about someone who has a weapon that's very quick to pull it out. And
the fact that you made this about the weapon.
Yeah.
That's like something to have a talk about. Like we had an argument. I have it written down. She wrote it down for us.
Yeah.
Here's how I heard the argument. I don't want you afraid of guns. That is a problem to me. Like I think if she said that to him.
That's an incorrect interpretation of her issues with with what happened.
And if he can't understand that and go, that is a defense mechanism that I put up so that I could make sure that I could keep my gun around you. Like that's kind of what he's doing. He's like, I got to make sure that I can keep being me, with this lifestyle of fucking rootin' tootin' whatever.
But he clearly is a little embarrassed. Otherwise he wouldn't have apologized for it.
Which is a step. Yeah. Shame is a step in this. I agree with you. There's got to be a talk. I think she's got ammo, not to,
no pun intended.
No pun intended. To bring up to say, you said this. Why did you say it this way?
Red flag or deal breaker for you? She's driving.
She pulls. Here's the thing. I think it's okay. I think what she's doing is correct. If you're dating someone that does something that puts your life in danger, it's time to reassess the relationship, which she's doing. I've been in relationships where I'll watch, and I've seen the other person do things, and I go, do I want this to be a part of my life?
Do I want this lifestyle?
Do I want this lifestyle? Do I want to be with someone who thinks in this way?
Right.
And you have to go, maybe not, But I do think the thing that I haven't done in the past, I've made that decision on my own, usually. I think if she's an adult, the more adult way is to go to them and be like,
she
can make it on her own.
If she can fix it, then I don't think this is like unsolvable if he's willing to like really address it in a real way.
Right, because I've seen these things and gone, I'm out.
Right.
Big world on Bumble.
Yeah. And I just think it's a little early to be seeing that kind of behavior against someone. It's not like they've been dating. He's like 5 years of normal behavior under his belt, and now she's seen him react like this once. Like they've only been dating 2 months, so she doesn't really know him that well yet.
Right. If every 2 months you have this level, then you'd be like, if this was 2 years from now, you're like, oh fuck, we've had,
several gun incidents. Yeah.
12 incidents of him going off the handle. You'd know that's why they're looking at it now. Right. So the conversation now is good. Next month when there's another thing, maybe it's too late for another conversation.
Agreed. Definitely worth a
look. Are you ready to play some games?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hello, Moto.
This week we're playing Flip or Flop, a game presented by the new Motorola Razr Plus. We are holding it in our hands. If you're watching on YouTube, it is easy to hold. It flips over. I love it.
It's so fun to flip.
Such a fun nostalgia,
But better, obviously.
Way better. Motorola, they reimagined the iconic Razr for a new era, which means new ways to interact, capture, and create. For this game, we have a few dating situations, and it's time to decide if they're still worth flipping for, meaning you're still interested, or they're total flops and not worth picking up your phone. So we're reading this off of our new Razr. I love it. Isn't this great? I love the colors. There's a screen on the front.
It's just sleek,
So sleek. Usable.
All right, here's scenario 1. If you don't answer within a few minutes, they send you a question mark.
I'm okay with this. This is a flip.
Okay.
Because I like the idea of like, come on, give me the answer.
Right. You're not playing. What I like about that is they're not trying to play any games.
No games.
Right.
Question mark. Ping.
A few minutes though is quick.
A few minutes is quick. It's definitely not a flop though. It's not. I'm not flopping out of there because I do understand like, what are we doing tonight? And then it's like question mark.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. It does. That question mark is a hello.
Right.
Talk to me.
What if it's a non-urgent question?
It would annoy me and start a conversation, but I'm not flopping.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
Like if I sent you a question mark and you're like, hey, things are busy here.
Right.
You're
not going to be like not ending the friendship.
No. I mean, I have had this situation where I'll be texting with someone and then they FaceTime me.
Okay.
And I'm like, no. And they're like, what? You were texting?
You don't seem like a big FaceTimer.
No, I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
And also, I'm good at texting. That doesn't mean I'm ready to.
FaceTime is for people who are bad at texting.
Just because I'm texting doesn't mean I have the time or I'm in the surroundings to hold up my phone and do a production.
In a public place.
Yeah.
My Uber driver the other day was FaceTiming the entire ride. I thought it was so annoying.
Was it mounted?
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Very annoying.
Mounted.
I don't want to hear you. Like literally, I'm hearing like the ins and outs of his relationship with his girlfriend. Anyway, so
I have like 2 friends in the world. Let's do it.
And I'm one of them. All right, this is a flip.
This is a flip. Okay. On your date, they want you to order for them to see how well you know them.
What date?
Let's say it's date 3. You've done 1 dinner already. This is the 2nd dinner. They're like, you order.
I mean,
we'll see.
I've gotten in trouble with this. As anyone who's heard the infamous ice cream story. Mike, what flavor am I going to get? I bet you're going to get the salted caramel. What flavor am I going to get?
Blue raspberry.
I have no idea. It's a slippery slope. I wouldn't recommend it. So
came here to get your feelings hurt. Yeah. That story, it's funny that I'm like 3rd date. Like, what would you even know about the person?
Right.
I think ordering for anyone in any capacity is a flop.
You know what? Unless you're ordering for the table. Sometimes if there's a big group and there's someone ordering for like there's one person who's like good at food. And
You
then you're
take
like,
over.
You just order all the apps. I'll eat it if someone wants something particular, say so. If not,
There's a very particular way that has to
you
be
don't like
done.
you don't like when that happens.
I don't
either.
mind it, but I don't think people who do it, some people think they should be allowed to do it and they shouldn't be doing it.
Okay.
If you're going to be
You
the
have to be
leader,
self-aware.
you have to be self-aware. If you're going to be the leader of the order, here's what I would do. I think I'm the guy.
Okay. Yo, you're that guy.
Absolutely.
Everyone's like, Jared, why don't you order for the table?
I don't know if they would ask me. I know how to do it.
You're volunteering.
I would volunteer myself. And before the waiter or waitress comes over, I go, here's what I'm thinking. Any notes? Welcome.
Okay.
See, I'm a benevolent dictator.
All right. You're not thinking that you know it all.
No, I'm there to organize and give direction and leadership.
Okay.
So I'd be like, I'm getting 2 pastas for the table, 2 calamaris for the table. I'm going to get 3 entrees. We're all going to whack them up. You know, like I would get into that mode.
Right.
And then
they
I go,
say-
does
and you
anyone
say-
have things that they want?
After that, you say
After that.
Okay. And then you say, is that enough food? Or you always
Is
know
that
it's
enough food? The person who goes, I think we got too much, I go, you're out of the friend group.
Okay.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't think we haven't had
And
many
fr-
dinners together, but I don't think we would do well. I'm that person. That seems like a lot.
Oh, no. That seems like a lot. Where are we going to put it? You'll bring it home then. That's
All
what
right.
I would look at that
I'll
person.
take it
I'd
home.
be like,
I'll take it home.
doggy bag for you.
Okay.
If you're right, I hope you're right.
We'll see. And then it becomes,
And then I'm eating everything. I'm making sure.
you're making sure there's nothing left. Just
Right.
to prove a point. Okay. So I guess it's a flop.
I guess it's a flop too.
Yeah.
Because also, you know what I don't like about this one? The idea that I'm being like a big test.
Right.
Why aren't we testing each other? Why am I the one that could fail?
I agree. I mean, again, having done this, it's not fun. It's a bad idea. I highly recommend against it.
Let's do one more.
Okay.
They crash nights out with your friends because they missed you.
Flop.
Flop.
Boundaries.
Right.
Boundaries.
Hey, I'm going out with the girls tonight. Look who's here. No.
That's weird.
That's awful.
Yeah. That's someone who's like either doesn't trust you
Right.
or has no sense of like boundaries again.
Let's make this a little different.
Yeah.
You're about to go out with you're like, it's like 6:00 Saturday. You're like, Liza just called.
Okay.
A bunch of girls are going out. I'm gonna go with them. And then Mike just goes, what am I gonna do?
And you mean like, do I invite him?
And no, just that's the end of that's what he
it?
does.
Did we have plans?
No, he's got
No.
nothing.
He's pretty good with that. I'd be like, get out of here.
It'd be my dream night.
Yeah, it's-
But would that annoy you?
It might annoy me like in the beginning of dating,
Mm,
but I think now we're like, I see you every day.
good luck.
Have fun. Yeah.
Don't
we have not,
tap.
especially we have nothing going on. Like,
Right. No,
I think
I'm with you.
it's nice to have a night to yourself.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but they crash uninvited.
Flop.
No,
Flop.
I would be
that.
very annoyed.
Yeah, you gotta uninvited.
Yeah.
Hey, ladies, the J-Man is here.
No one likes that guy.
No.
Yeah.
It's an unlikable trait.
Do you ever see someone's girlfriend or like wife crash?
Well, sometimes there's that guy who brings his girlfriend to the things being like, you guys don't mind, right?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, we all fucking mind. You know, like,
It's ruining the vibe.
right.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about farts and penises. What are you doing?
So I hope she likes that.
With the new Motorola Razr Plus, you'll always be ready to flip. Its ultra sleek and smooth design makes it easy to pocket, and its versatile camera adds a flex to every selfie you take. Buy the new Motorola Razr Plus now on sale at www.motorola.com/US. That's MOTOROLA.com/US.
Woohoo.
We solved dating
did it.
again. We
I'm
did
proud
it
of us.
even under duress.
Yes. We're not at the top of our game physically, but we're always there mentally.
Always. We pushed through. You did a great job.
Thank
Listen.
Unless you didn't like this episode, in which
straight-
case we were not feeling well.
Joanna came straight from the ER.
I
Unbelievable.
did come straight from my bed. So that's how badly I wanted to be here.
For you. Now share this podcast to let people know.
Exactly.
And we'll be back on Sunday.
Bye. Bye. The U Up podcast is produced by Sean Kilby, Maddie Paul, and Jorge Morales Pico. Editing by Jorge Morales Pico. Social media by Maddie Paul. Be sure to follow at u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.